Good morning and welcome to the Tune Tapestry, the show where we tug at the threads of traditional and classical musics from around the world and discover the surprising connections between them. Yes, this is the Tune Tapestry here at 5EBI 103.1 FM, Adelaide's multicultural radio station, and you're here with me, Rachel Hay, where I attempt to put my university degree to use by talking to you about the connections between traditional and classical musics from around the world, which I like. And today we are still talking about bagpipes because this was a request from a listener. The listener was my mother, but let's not focus on that. There was a request from a listener to talk about bagpipes, and I began researching bagpipes and discovered that there are so many bagpipes in the world. So this is the third week of bagpipes, and we will be taking a break from them next week, but there is enough bagpipe content for another week, if you'd believe it, because pretty much everywhere in Europe has a bagpipe or 10, and lots of other places as well. So plenty of bagpipes to listen to, but we're starting today in Germany, where they have the Marktsackpfeife. This literally means market pipes, and it's also known as the German pipes. It isn't actually a traditional instrument. It was developed in East Germany in the early 1980s for use at medieval fairs and markets by pipe maker Klaus Stecker and an old music enthusiast by the name of Roman Streisand. It is a modern interpretation of medieval bagpipes, drawn from depictions in medieval sources. They're characterized by wide flaring bells on the chanter and drone, so they do look quite impressive, I have to say. Look for pictures of them if you want the German market pipes. And early prototypes were tuned in F, but this was gradually raised up to A. Historical sources describe an ability to play in both Dorian and Aeolian modes. Basically just a comment on the tuning. So here we are, two pipes playing that we're about to hear, played by a group called Saltatio Mortis, and they're playing a piece called Drachentanz. was the German Marschsackpfeife, or replica medieval bagpipe. So we're going to be heading to quite a different bit of the world now, specifically to India, northern India, especially Uttarakhand, where they have a bagpipe called the mashak, most associated with weddings there. It uses single reeds, and it's used as both a drone and a melody instrument. As you heard, the Marschsackpfeife was very much a melody instrument. The term mashak in the local language means a skin bag used for carrying water. These days, the mashak is almost identical to the Great Highland bagpipe, and there are different theories as to why. Some people say there was a traditional bagpipe that was just completely displaced by Scottish bagpipes. Others say that there weren't pipes in the area at all before British rule. And some people say that there was an intermediary stage where locals, with their local bagpipes, began imitating Scottish pipes in the number of drones they used. So there's some controversy about the origin of the mashak, but nevertheless, let's listen to Vinod Garia playing the mashak. let's head back to Spain now. And I say back, even though we haven't been in Spain metaphorically in today's program, because we have spent a lot of time there in previous bagpipe weeks. Because, as I've mentioned, Spain and Portugal together, the Iberian Peninsula, have a lot of bagpipes, most of which the locals call the gaita, which is a Visigoth word meaning goat. But anyway, the gaita mirandesa, actually I said Spain, it's a Portuguese bagpipe, specifically from the Trás-os-Montes region. I've probably pronounced wrong because I don't speak Portuguese. Some do prefer the term gaita transmontana because Miranda do Douro, which the gaita mirandesa is named after, is only a small section of the region where the instrument is played. Locals do, however, tend to call it the gaita de folle, since Transmontana or mirandesa basically is just a name that distinguishes it from other Iberian bagpipes, and gaita de folle is the traditional local name. So the earliest records of this bagpipe date from the 18th century. Historically, the playing of this gaita was passed from father to son until the 20th century, with only small regional variations. Some Portuguese regiments, military regiments, use the bagpipe to mark a marching cadence. And the bagpipe is a helpful instrument in the region because it's quite mountainous, and therefore it's easily heard across the mountain. I think this is the reason bagpipes are so popular in the Highlands as well, best heard from a distant mountainside. Anyway, easily heard in the mountainous regions around the Douro River in northern Portugal, and is said to have a very low pitch compared to other bagpipes, but you can judge for yourself because we're about to hear a trio of musicians, João Pratas, Alexandra Marinos, and Paulo Marinos playing. Two of them are playing drums. Now, one of the drums is called a caixa de guerra, and one is a bombo, and I don't know which is which, but one is quite large, one not so large. And the first guy, whose name I can't pronounce, playing the gaita. So here we go. Let's hear the gaita mirandesa, a Portuguese bagpipe. that was the Gaita Mirandesa from Portugal. So our alphabetical journey through bagpipes takes us from Mirandesa to Miswad, which is in Africa, specifically in Tunisia. And the name means sack, bag, or food pouch. It's made from ewe's leather, which is sheep leather. And it has a double chanter, each ending in a cow horn. It is popular in the traditional music alongside a drum called a darbuka. This is a common thread that I've noticed. We're tagging out the threads of traditional music. It's the tune Tapestry. A common thread with bagpipes that I've noticed is that they're often played alongside drums. Some cultures like to play them alongside another woodwind instrument, usually like an oboe or something like an oboe, but by far most people like to play them with drums. And the miswad is often played at weddings and parties. That's another common thread with the bagpipes, but I guess if you have an instrument as loud as a bagpipe, you only want to bring it out at special occasions where you've got lots of people and needs to be heard over. But it is associated with the countryside and the working class. Yet another common bagpipe thread that I've noticed a lot of people associated with shepherds and peasants. Traditionally, until it got co-opted by military bands in the last few centuries, a lot of bagpipes are associated with military bands these days. But anyway, let's hear a traditional pipe and drum band from Tunisia. was a Tunisian pipe and drum band. The Tunisian bagpipe is called the Mizwad. So let's go from Tunisia to a totally different continent, France, and Belgium, where they have the Muchosa, which is in Hainaut, which is in Belgium and also northern France. It's called the pipasso in France, but it's the same instrument. And it has a chanter with a double reed pitched in B flat and two drones. The higher one is right up next to the chanter, and the lower drone is further back, and this is apparently a common style for bagpipes in central and northern France. That's about all the information I have for you today on the Muchosa, so let's listen to Opnem Zat Folk, which I think I've pronounced, which is a Muchosa and a drum band. As I mentioned, bagpipes and drums seem to go together in a lot of cultures. So let's listen to this Belgian pipe and drum band. You are listening to the tune Tapestry here at 5EBI 103.1 FM, Adelaide's multicultural radio station, with me, Rachel Hay. And we have been looking at all the different sorts of bagpipes in the world, a true odyssey through the many thousands of bagpipes. And we've just been in Belgium and northern France, where they play the Jossa. So we're going to stay in France because we're going alphabetically through the bagpipes, and they play elsewhere in France the musette, specifically the musette de coeur, which is a Baroque French bagpipe. A tiny little short drone, very strange looking in my opinion, and two chanters. And it is bellows blown, which means there's a bellows under one elbow inflating the bag rather than a mouthpiece. It first appeared at the end of the 16th century and was gradually refined over the next 100 years or so. It became popular for two reasons. Firstly, because the French aristocracy liked exotic sounds in the early 17th century. They also liked the hurdy-gurdy at the same time, which has a similar sound. And secondly, because it is a bellows-blown, not mouth-blown bagpipe, which meant that it was socially okay for women to play it, since socially they weren't allowed to play a mouth-blown instrument at that time in France. So it was popular because women could play it, which is quite different to Scotland, where bagpipes are traditionally men only. And the musette de cour was used in operas and chamber music at this time, often associated with shepherds, peasants, and other pastoral elements in these operas and chamber music. But again, it was operas and chamber music, and it was popular among the French aristocracy, so I think that was just them being odd. Anyway, let's listen to Marcus Maggiore playing La Cuckoo by Michel Couret. That's enough of Europe, I think. Let's go to Iran, where they have several sorts of bagpipes, but we're in southern Iran, especially around the region of Bushehr, where they play the ney anban, which literally means bagpipe. Specifically refers to this one played in southern Iran. It has drones, it has two chanters, and it's often used to accompany sarva, or singing of 3-meter couplets. That's all the information I have for you, so let's hear Liana Sharifian. It was interesting because I had a lecture at university, not in music, but in sociolinguistics with the surname Sharifian. But anyway, this is Liana Sharifian playing the Ney Anban at the Kerman Folk Festival in January 2020. a bagpipe from southern Iran, played by Liana Sharifian. Now, I CP'd for the Persian program on Sunday afternoons for quite a long time. You should listen to that, by the way. I have to remember, I think it's 6 o'clock on Sunday afternoons. Anyway, I learnt a couple of things, one of which is the Farsi word for England, which is Angelastan, which I thought was fun. So we're going to Angelastan, we're going to England, specifically northeast England, Northumbria, where they have a bellows blown bagpipe called the Northumbrian Small Pipes. Now, the Northumbrian Piper Society was founded in 1928 due to fears that the bagpiping tradition of the area would die out over the last century. It didn't, nearly did, but it didn't. There is one chanter on the Northumbrian Small Pipes with 7 metal keys and 4 drones. Now, I find it interesting that the chanter has metal keys on it. That's not something you tend to see on other bagpipes. And the Northumbrian Small Pipes were first described in a manuscript in 1695. So here, let's listen to two players of the Northumbrian Small Pipes, Catherine Tickle and Andy May, playing a duet.
There you go. Andy May on harmonies and tune. Bye.
That was the Northumbrian Small Pipes from England. So going from England now to Armenia and moving further along the alphabet from N for Northumbrian to P for Parkapsuk, which is the name of the traditional Armenian bagpipe, which has no drones and a single chanter with 6 finger holes. The Parkapsuk is made from hardened sheep or lambskin, and the size of the bag does depend on the size of the player, what is most comfortable for them to wedge under their elbow and squeeze. And the pipes are traditionally apricot wood, but these days are often plastic, which is cheaper and easier to make. So here's Levon Tevanyan playing the Parkapsuk. That was the Parkapsuk, and even though we're going alphabetically through the list of pipes, which begins with a P, that's actually the only bagpipe where the local name begins with P. So we're moving on to the letter S now. There's obviously no Q or R. We're moving on to S, and specifically the sackpipa, which is the Swedish bagpipe, specifically the bagpipe from the Dalarna region of Sweden. Medieval church paintings suggest it was played once all over Sweden, and not just in this region. It was found in a museum once. Well, it was found by a museum in the 1930s by Mats Renborg. And he wrote a thesis on this bagpipe. And he then found the last carrier of the Swedish bagpipe tradition, a man called Gudmunds Niels Larsson, from a village called Dala-Järna. In 1981, a woodworker by the name of Leif Erikson, and unfortunately for him not the most famous person with that name, but a woodworker called Leif Erikson developed a model of bagpipes based on about 10 different traditional instruments held in museums. So today there are several folk groups that use the Swedish pipes. The bagpipes are quite small, an piece on top and drones underneath the chanter. So the drones hang down rather than resting on the shoulder like in Scotland. And we're about to hear a piece called Ljugarden, which is about a woman who played this tune, I presume composed this tune, on a fippel flute, which is like a recorder or whistle type instrument, after her husband drowned in a lake by the name of Ljugarden in Dalarna in November 1888. So quite a sad story there for this tune on the Swedish bagpipes, played by Olle Hjelmer.
Ljugarden.
And it's back to Spain, from Sweden to Spain, where they have, as I've sort of mentioned, almost an excess of bagpipes. But this is now the gaita Sanabrese, which is played in northwestern Spain, specifically in Sanabria. Has a single drone, and the chant is in Aeolic mode. Very different to other gaitas, which are in C or D Doric, which probably doesn't mean much to most of you, but just know it plays in a different key, we'll say. It actually plays in a different mode, but we'll go with different key. Declined in the 20th century and was nearly extinct in the 1980s when the local government intervened to revive these bagpipes. So here is Luis Antonio Pedraza playing the gaita Sana Presa. Well, we started today in Germany. We're getting towards the end of the show, so we'll go back to Germany. We started with the Marktsackpfeife, a revived medieval German bagpipe, and now let's hear the Schäferpfeife, which means the shepherd's pipe. Now there's two drones, and they face forwards over the chanter rather than resting back over the shoulder. And the Schäferpfeife became popular in southern Germany and Austria from the 16th century, and especially around the mid-18th century. They feature in a Mozart symphony, not the famous Mozart, but Leopold Mozart. They featured in a symphony by that, which we will end the programme with, but not for another 10 minutes or so. Instead, let's listen to Matthias Branschke playing the Schäferpfeife, two tunes, Wurzelreich Pionier and Ausgereizt. So let's hear it. So we're very near the end of today's programme, but I think there's just about enough time for a trip to Finland, where they play this sekipeli. It does seem to be the generic Finnish term for bagpipes, but bagpipes first appear in a 15th century painting at a church in Taivasalo. It's not clear if it's meant to depict a local tradition rather than a foreign tradition, I suppose, but bagpipes are currently being revived in Sweden as a local tradition. So here's a guy by the name of Markus playing the sekipeli, or Finnish bagpipe. And that, I think, brings us pretty much to the end of the show. So thank you for joining me this morning, for the tune Tapestry. I hope you've enjoyed the range of bagpipes, all the globe-trotting we've been doing. Iran, Tunisia, Sweden, Germany. We've been all over the place with the bagpipes this morning. But next week we are taking a break from bagpipes because, as you may know, Australia Day is next week, and it would be remiss of me on the tune Tapestry, where we pull at the threads of traditional and classical music to discover the connections between them, if I didn't look at the development of Australian traditional music, Australian bush music, and look at the connections between it and the different traditions that were the parents of it, trying to that inspired it, that fed into it, something like that. Obviously, these musical traditions came mostly from the British Isles, some from other places. So we'll be looking into that next week. But for now, I will leave you with a little bit of Mozart. Leopold Mozart Symphony in D major, played by the ensemble Edward Melkus. And this is the piece with the name of Die Bauernhochzeit, or the Peasant Wedding, featuring the Schäferpfeife, or German shepherd bagpipe. And until next week, I've been Rachel Hay. I hope you tune in next week, but stick around now to listen to Dieter at the Morning Music Vitamins here on 5EBI. Here's Mozart.